So in this particular set, we're talking about rational numbers. It's very important to know the difference between rational numbers and irrational numbers. Rational numbers, there's three basic types. We have fractions, decimals, and integers. Now there's two types of decimals. There's decimals that repeat, like 0.3 repeating, where it's just 3 dot 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 dot, or terminating decimals which end like 0.25. Both of those are types of rational decimals. Now the only time you get irrational numbers is if you get decimals that go on forever with no pattern. For example, one of the most common ones is pi. Pi we say is 3.14, but it really goes on forever with no pattern. Or like if you had 0.1257, when you take square roots of non-perfect squares, like if you have the square root button and you get that decimal that has no pattern, that's also irrational. Now when you're adding or subtracting fractions, first of all, remember, no mixed allowed, and always find a common denominator. So again, you only need a common denominator for adding, subtracting fractions. So in this case, again, you do 1 times 3 is 3, plus the 1 is 4/3, and then 2 times 4 is 8, plus the 3 is 11. So now you have 4/3 minus 11 over 4. Now you need a common denominator, which would be 12 in this case. So you go ahead and multiply the values. So you get 6 over 12 and then negative 33 over 12. When you put those together, you get a negative 17 over 12. Because again, the negative 33 is bigger than the 16. Alright, now when you multiply fractions, again, no mixed fractions allowed. But in this case, you just multiply straight across. Alright, so if we make that improper, that becomes 9 over 4. And then 4 to make that a fraction, 4 over 1. So now you just multiply straight across. 9 times 4 is 36. 4 times 1 is 4. 36 over 4 is 9. Now a little trick is to simplify along the way with multiplication. So if you notice 4 and 4, you could have divided them by 4. And so you could have canceled them out and made 1 over 1 earlier. You would have gotten the same answer. 9 times 1 is also 9. Now when you're dividing fractions, again, no mixed, but to divide fractions you multiply by the reciprocal. And reciprocal just means flipped fraction. So you make it improper, 19 over 5, divided by 2 over 5. Now you flip the second fraction, and then you multiply straight across. So in this case, you could multiply those big numbers, or simplify along the way as in the previous problem. So 5 and 5 simplify to 1 over 1, and then you multiply what's remaining. 19 times 1 is 19, and 1 times 2 is 2. You'll see more of this with the example problems on the right. So in the first case, we have an addition, so we need to remember common denominator. Okay? So we're going to make them improper fractions. So we got 1/3 plus, that'll be 1 times 4 is 4 plus 1, that's 5/4. Now we need a common denominator of 3 and 4, which in this case would be 12. And again, that means the same bottom value. So you'll do 3 times 4 is 12, 1 times 4 is, so it's 4/12, and the other one will become 15/12. Now you can just add the top. 4 and 15 make 19 all over 12. And that's how you add fractions. Remember, only adding, subtracting do we need a common denominator. Now when you're multiplying, just remember we go straight across, but we can't have mixed fractions. So we're going to make the 2 3/4 into 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11. And now you just multiply straight across. 1 times 11 is 11, and 3 times 4 is 12. See? Straight across. Now the next example, this is dividing fractions. So remember, multiply by the reciprocal, and reciprocal just means flip the second fraction. So in this case, we're going to make it improper. So 6 times 3 is 18, plus 2 extra is 20. 20 over 3 divided by 2/3. Now you flip the second fraction and multiply straight across. So that will give you 20 over 3 times 3 over 20. Now you could get big numbers, but I recommend simplify along the way. 3 and 3 both are divisible by 3, so you can divide them by 3 and make 1 and 1. So you're left with 20 over 1, or 20 times 1 is 20, and 1 times 2 is 2, which you can simplify to 10. And that's how you do rational numbers.